tuning in to the World XP podcast. If you're enjoying the content, please remember to drop a sub, drop a like, and leave your thoughts down below in the comments. With that, we will see you guys in the podcast. Jacob, welcome to the World XP podcast. Dude, it's been forever since I've done one of those intros, but it's always a pleasure to get a new face on. Obviously, we know each other. Well, not obviously for us, not obviously for everybody listening. We know each other from Mary Washington. And Jacob has landed a job with the Maryland Blue Crabs. Is that correct? Southern Maryland Blue Crabs, obviously by
you got it.
By your sweatshirt. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, kind of who you are, what you do, and maybe a bit how you got there, but we'll get into that portion a bit in a little bit. So welcome and go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm Jacob. Obviously, I know Eric from Mary Washington, a little club basketball together. But yeah, I was a business administration major at UMW, and I had a sports management minor. So when graduation time was rolling around, I always knew I wanted to work in sports because that's my first love. And if you love what you do, you never work a day, right? So I was all for it. Until I graduated and realized how hard it was going to be to find a job because a lot of people want to do it and there's not a lot of jobs. So I applied to around 150 job openings before I even got an interview for one. And it was mostly internships, a lot of unpaid ones. And then I stumbled across this one, which happened to be paid. So I was stoked about it. And I had one interview with the guy who hired me, Andrew. He's no longer with the team, but he gave me a shot. And yeah, yeah. So I started as a marketing intern social media marketing intern. And then that was in February. I was on a stipend. And I'm still on that stipend. I'm hoping to get off of it here soon at the end of the season. We're in the playoffs now. But yeah, so I started in February and basically came in and was doing, very tedious stuff that an intern does. But as the season's gone on, I've kind of grown into a very big role, actually, because we're a really small organization. So the experience I've gotten has been invaluable. I mean, I couldn't have asked for anything more, really.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for those listening, the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs are in. I mean, you can describe it better than I can, but they're not affiliated with the MLB or the farm system. And so, to your point about it being a smaller organization, that's often where people get their feet under them because they have to do a variety of tasks. And even though it's a smaller organization, the tasks that exist within that organization are still the same tasks that exist pretty much up to the highest levels. It's just those clubs have the budgets and they have people specialized in them. So it's almost like you said, it's a blessing to be able to kind of touch all of the different aspects that you're doing. So for those listening, because I had not heard of this league until you talked to me. Half of that is because I know nothing about baseball. The other half of that is the league is super tiny. So why don't you go ahead and kind of like describe the league, kind of its objectives, kind of, if you will, and then sort of the player base, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so the Blue Crabs play in the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball at Atlantic League on all social medias. Go give them a follow. But
Link in the description.
yeah, so we have 10 teams in our league. There's Long Island, Staten Island, York, Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Charleston, West Virginia, 2 teams in North Carolina, and 2 teams in Lexington, Kentucky. And so basically, it's a melting pot of players. We're an independent league, and we're technically called an MLB partner league. So what that means is the MLB uses our league to test out the new rule changes that they want to implement in the MLB. So it's really cool because we get to see these things firsthand. It's kind of like a pilot program. And like last season, the league had the robot umpires, which was pretty cool. They put a track man behind the plate. Umpire has an AirPod in his ear, and the technology just tells him ball strike, and that's what he calls. So that's pretty cool to see. That's actually now in AAA of affiliated ball, so that's inching closer towards the MLB. But yeah, it's just a bunch of rules like that that they test out. And as far as players go, it's really cool because we have a few former MLB players, some pretty good ones actually. We have Matt Latos, he's our closer, but he pitched for the Padres, Nationals, Reds, and he dominated for a few years in the MLB. He was a Cy Young candidate one year. So that's pretty cool. We have a few other MLBs, Eddie Butler, Daryl Thompson, two other pitchers. But there's also the other side of the league where it's young guys who have maybe been dropped from affiliated ball or have never played affiliated ball that are trying to get back in or get there for the first time. So it's cool to see all these players from different walks in baseball um, working together to for one goal, obviously. But that's probably one of the most fun things for me is seeing the different guys interact. There's no like, oh, I played in the MLB, I'm better than you. Like it's they're all equal, so that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I get the feeling. Well, one question I have before I ask the other question is the robot umpires. How do they determine like if it's a ball or strike? Because like if you got a shorter guy and a really like a tall, isn't Aaron Judge like 6'7" or something like that? And then
Yeah,
you got
he's a
a
big one.
short, and then you got a short guy that like how does that? How do they determine that? And with any sort of like consist or not even consistency, but like how do they differentiate between like this guy is short, that guy's tall, this guy's stance takes him further away from the plate, this guy's standing close to the plate. Like that's that's just the things that I know, and I imagine there's a million more things that go into what a strike zone really consists of. But like, so how do they do that?
Yeah, so the like I said, the track they have a track man behind the plate that's actually raised up on the press box.
Mm-hmm.
But what that does, it's like crazy technology. I don't know how someone could ever make it, but it's used a lot in golf simulators too. Like it tracks how far the ball goes and the ball speed and everything. So what happens is each player is logged into the system in like the batting order. So when they come up, whoever's running the track man selects the player and that adjusts the strike zone based on how tall they are or where their knees and chest is at and everything. And so then when the ball comes across the plate, it picks it up on the TrackMan and it has a strike zone right there, and you get live feedback. So
Mm.
when you're following any Atlantic League game or MLB, any baseball game on an app, on the app with a TrackMan, every pitch you can see exactly where it was in the strike zone and if it was a ball or a strike.
Mm. Interesting. I like I like the use of technology, but also at the same time, it kind of takes out the like the like in soccer, for instance, like
Yeah.
there's different refs in different leagues. You're like, oh, I love playing when this guy's refing. Like because you have like that human element with the ref where like for example the other day I was playing in a game and I tried to basically um embellish to win a foul, and what happened was the guy like he put his arm across my chest and basically like yanked the shirt. I think it was a foul, but I tried to basically embellish and my foot came up and like hit him up here, and he was upset that he was like, oh, you tried to kick me, which like the human, I know the ref knows that I'm not that type of player. And so he basically says, like in his head, he's like, all right, you tried to embellish, maybe small foul, let play go on. Probably the right decision. But like if that's a robot and it sees a high foot, like maybe I get a yellow or I get sent off or something where like that was never the intention. And so like you lose that sort of aspect. And I don't know if that's the same as I don't really know how applicable that is in baseball, but just like that's something that is always in the back of my head as more and more technology gets implemented into sports in that way. I don't know. Do you have thought like what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it takes the human error out of it. Like especially you see it in baseball too because an umpire might be favoring the inside of the strike zone or maybe a few inches off the plate on the inside he's calling strikes and the pitcher can see that strategize and attack that part of the zone because he knows he might have a bit of a wider zone on that side. So when you have the robot umpires, it kind of it takes that part out of it and that aggravates the pitchers because they sometimes can exploit that. And I've noticed with the robot umpires, players are very split on it. It's like
Mm,
they either like it or they don't for the reasons they have, but it's cut and dry. I mean, it's ball or strike. Some people like it, and some people don't. That's why I don't. I think it's too split. I don't think it's ever going to make it to the MLB. But
Yeah. I can see that. That makes sense.
there's just too many, especially baseball's an old timer sport.
Exactly. It's a purist sport.
Yeah, and there's just too many people on that side of it. I think that they would never. I don't even think they're going to try to push it through. But hey, things are always changing, so you never know.
That's for sure. The other question that I was going to ask before that one was like the MLB guys, it seems like, at least in my head, they wouldn't really, they would, if they weren't going to be in a position where they just want to play, like they wouldn't come back to a league like that and be like, "Oh, I'm better than you. I played MLB." They would just retire. I feel like. So I feel like the ones that really want to play in that league are almost, I don't know if they want to like mentor, but they want to just. I feel like those are the guys that just like you see this with hoopers all like often. Like they don't care as long as there's a hoop and a ball. They don't care like who's there. They'll just play. I feel like that's
Oh yeah.
is that kind of the same way with these MLB guys that you guys have.
Oh yeah, dude. If you don't love baseball, you are not playing in this league. Trust me. There's yeah. The MLB guys, they take pride in their play. They do, but it almost seems like they enjoy coaching the younger guys more. Because one of our pitchers, our his name's Daryl Thompson. He's from here and he's pitched for us for 10 years, which is unheard of in this league. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're in this league for 2 or 3 years, that's absurd. And he's been here for 10. But he pitched in the MLB. Actually, there's a cool story about him. He made his MLB debut at Yankee Stadium, and that year they made the rookies take the subway to the game, and he was a rookie, and they went the wrong direction on the subway and got lost, and he didn't get to the stadium until like I think 30 or 45 minutes before the game started, and he threw like 5 scoreless innings, like
That's
no big
wild.
deal. But that's just kind of the guy he is. But yeah, that's a pretty crazy story. But he's also our pitching coach too. So he plays and he's the pitching coach. But so that kind of ties in to that, as they're always coaching the young guys up in the bullpen, giving them pointers, and the younger players really do look up to them because I mean they played on the biggest stage. We have Eddie Butler too. He pitched at Wrigley Field multiple times. So it's just they are a little cocky. I'm not gonna lie, the MLB players. But at the end of the day, they're there because they love baseball, and that's what the league is all about. So
Yeah. I mean, you don't get to that. I was talking with that recent episode with a guy named Kevin about like yeah, all of those guys have to be cocky because you don't get to that level without thinking like without that mindset that you are the best at what you do. Because like there was some chart with like the percentages of like youth athletes and then how many play in high school and then how many play in college and then how many play pro and it's
yeah,
like 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% and you're like holy shit. Um,
yeah,
but
cocky probably was the wrong word, but just like
confident. They
comp.
do
Yeah,
like
I'd say confident.
they are aware of what they can do with a baseball,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
yeah. And to me,
Um,
like if you are that good, like I honestly I have no problem with you being like that. It took a lot of work, so own it. Like
yeah.
a lot of people always so arrogant, but like, well, yeah, but he worked for that. So
Yeah. Like when you see them day in, day out, like unless they're a real dickhead, then like you
and
most people most
there are those.
well, 100%, but like
Yeah,
the ones who aren't that, like when you see them day in, day out, you're just like like the amount of work that they put into their bodies and like just the craft is bonkers. And then yeah, like you said, the mentorship side is something that can be super rewarding for players. So I mean, yeah, and like some of them to kind of take it on as like their next sort of purpose in life, right? Like because they know they're done playing and they understand that like a lot of athletes go through the fuck my sport is done. Now what do I
yeah,
do? And so they're
Yeah.
like, well, I'll just help the next generation. And then they're like, well, I can do that for forever. So, so problem solved.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of them want to coach. I mean, coaching's not for everyone. But another thing is with guys like and being here and seeing it, these are just normal guys. Like at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, they come off the field. They're just normal guys. We've been out to the bar with them a few times, just hanging out. Sometimes they'll pick up our tab. It's just they're really just normal guys, and that's the coolest part about it is you have the ones that are going to be the way they are, but most of them are just genuine dudes who are there to have fun, and that's it.
For sure. All right. So you've been there. This is your first season, I think, right? So what
Yeah,
is your like what sorts of roles and responsibilities have you picked up along the way outside of the social media marketing ones?
yeah. So basically, that's how I started, just doing small like social media things, and then the season rolled on. People left. Um, the office got smaller, smaller, smaller as the season went on. So right now, we don't even have a marketing director. We have a coordinator of marketing who was above me when I started. But since then, there's like three of us who are just kind of like taking the marketing department head on. And it's been a lot of work, but very rewarding. But besides marketing, I mean, I've got the chance to do it all. Like I've taken tickets, I've worked in the box office. You get to sell things. Like everyone sells here. Someone you look any opportunity you can to sell something. Um, but yeah, I've gotten to do a lot. Like even media, like PR things, like post game interviews. Last night we went up to Lancaster for the game 2 of the playoff series we're in, and I hopped on the broadcast for a little bit. That was the first time I did that, but that was pretty cool for me. Um, that's never something I would want to do. I had a lot of fun, but our broadcaster travels to every game. That's 132 games. They get Mondays off. That's it. And
Yikes.
yeah, that's a rough one, but it was a lot of fun. And so that's one thing that I've taken from this experience is that you get if you get to do a lot, then that is way more valuable than maybe having an internship with the Orioles or the Nationals, where they're gonna stick you doing one thing over and over and over. I mean, I'm trying to think of something that I've done oh yeah, I'm basically they always joke that I'm the assistant groundskeeper because we only have one. We have a head groundskeeper, and I'm always out there helping him because he doesn't have a lot of guys all the time. But one game, it poured down rain. We had a hole in the tarp, and
Oh, rough.
yeah, so we get there in the morning at like 8 a.m. to pull it off. Everyone gets on. We run it off, and we turn around, and there's just a massive puddle like between third base and second base, right where the shortstop stands.
Oh, it's in the dirt as well. It's even
Yeah,
worse.
and we just looked down, and I think me and two of the sales guys were out there from 8 a.m. to right before the game started, just neat, like ankle deep in mud, pushing it around, drying it out. We actually, we actually set the field on fire too. We dumped gas. We dumped a bunch of gasoline on it because our manager's from like deep South Mississippi, and he came out. He was, oh yeah, just throw some gasoline on it, light it up. We used to do it in high school all the time.
Did it work?
It, we played the game. We played the game. Probably shouldn't have, but we did. I mean, people were rounding second and taking like footprints this deep. Just we shouldn't have played, but that was actually a doubleheader, and we ended up finishing the last game at 2:30 a.m. after the delay. So
Why why does baseball have double headers in professional sport? Like
so
why do they do that? That's been
it
a mis
had
like no other sport does that.
yeah. Well, they one baseball is easy on the body for the most part.
Hmm.
I mean, you're gonna be running full sprint a few times a game, but other than that, it's pretty easy on the body compared to other sports. So they already play a lot of games. I mean, the MLB plays what? one
Was it
sixty
one
two.
162?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean that's a crazy amount of
it's
games. But
absurd,
so
honestly.
what happens is obviously when it rains one day, the team you play 3 game series, so the team's still there. You play a doubleheader the next day, and that's another one of the rule changes that got implemented was the 7 inning doubleheaders. They did it last year in the MLB, but they're not doing it this year, I don't think. But yeah, we still have 7 inning doubleheaders, which is nice because it takes like 2 hours off. But yeah, I think for the most part, with 162 games and only summer to play, you can't just keep pushing back game after game. So the next day you just line it up and play two. But that was a long night. I don't want too many more of those.
That's wild to me. Like,
Yeah,
I don't. Also, you talk. That's another rule change that seems like at a certain point, I feel like they should just leave it. Like, what are they going to keep tweaking? Are they just going to keep moving things back and forth? Because they're doing that in soccer as well, changing different things. They're like, oh well, handball actually is this now, and you actually like offside. So if your big toe is offsides, like all these things, like dude, just leave it the way it was. Everybody would like, we all had our gripes with it, but like, stop
yeah.
confusing people.
Even with the how if it's offsides, they continue play and then look at it once the play's over. Like I guess in case
That's the only part I agree with,
you
to be
do,
honest.
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, because like if you blow it dead and they were onside and could have scored,
Yeah, yeah, I
like
no, I get that, and I'm probably a little biased because I watch a little bit of soccer, but not a ton. But I watch like a decent amount. But I was watching one time and someone got really like seriously injured after like finishing a play, and then they were like, "Oh, it was offsides." It's like,
right,
"Oh, well,
well,
that's
so
good
like
because
yeah, but you can't like what if he was one step back and he was onside and then he still got seriously injured. So like for me,
yeah,
it's like like the risk of the reason why people get injured in those situations that you're talking about is because people are confused about the rule. So people will stop playing because they're like he should have put his flag up, and then so the goalkeeper will hesitate to come off his line, and then there will be the collision because he thinks he's offsides. Whereas if everyone knows that the flag is always going to stay down, I feel like, and everyone just keeps playing, unless like then I feel like some of those would be prevented anyways. So I don't. I mean,
I
yes,
mean,
I agree.
yeah,
Like as a defender, I hate that. Right, that happened one time to our goalie in a scrimmage. Long ball comes over the top, guys offsides. Striker goes up for a head to head. Basically, they smack heads and like it's like for what? But he would have done that if he was onsides or not on or offsides, in my opinion, anyways. So like
yeah.
I don't know.
At the end of the
It's
day, you want to get it right. Like you want to get the call right. So
Yeah. It's kind of like in the NFL, like they blow the play dead on scoring plays, and then they go look at it afterwards.
yeah,
That's how I view it. But yeah, I definitely understand that. Like like defenders just have to get it in their heads that they just have to keep playing until the whistle blows because that's how it's going to be. Like people get mad when they think the flag should have gone up and they stop playing and they get scored on. And then they go back to VAR and it's like, oh, he was actually onside, and then you look like an idiot for stopping playing. And it's like,
yeah. I
well,
mean, that had
if
to
you
be
had,
tough for them. Yeah, to
it's a tough
change.
if it's well, that's what I'm saying about the confusion. Like they need to just
Yeah,
pick a way and then do it because they're supposed to put the flag up in obvious offsides, but then something that you think is obvious might not be obvious to somebody else, and then like people are confused by what that means, and it's just like
yeah, and that
that's why the collisions happen and the rest of the stuff. It's like it's very
yeah,
confusing. Like nobody, I don't think nobody actually knows the rule of when they're supposed to put the flag up and when they're not. Like no, but there's no like no one actually knows. Like that I've talked
yeah.
to anyways. Like even refs are like, well, I think this way, and I'm like, bro, you're the ref.
And that's how you look at them and they just like they they say like I don't know or something. You're like what? And
it
obviously,
has vague
yeah,
language on purpose.
yeah. And I don't know. I know you play in like a few competitive leagues. Do you play any like for fun ones or like recreational ones, or not really?
Um, Not really. I'd say like they're classed as amateur, but like
Yeah,
they're not like if all of those if a lot of those teams like practiced and like got their shit together, they could be pros. I mean, like
yeah.
low tier pro for
But
sure.
like
Like,
the refs are like real refs.
oh yeah, they're good refs.
Yeah,
Like a lot of
yeah,
those, like these refs, like we had refs that ref like NWSL, the women's professional league. We've got refs that do like the professional arena league. So like I've had outdoor refs that have refed me in arena, and and like refs that ref like the Open Cup games, like the US Open Cup games around here.
oh
Like
yeah.
the refs that we have in these leagues are the best. Well, it's the same as the players. It's basically there's no like it's us and then it's professional. So like that's basically but some of these refs ref pro games as well. So like we've got the best ones that you can get basically outside of like MLS refs and like USL championship refs basically.
That's
So yeah.
cool. I mean, there's a lot of leagues out there that have terrible refs. So that's actually really cool that you guys have those like highly trained refs. Like
Yeah.
that makes it worth it because sometimes when you're playing stuff, even if it's just recreational and the refs are horrible, you're like, what? It almost ruins it.
It does. It
But
does. But these ones are like they get stuff wrong, but a lot of them are like, my bad, I got it wrong. And they'll talk to you. Like the situation I brought up earlier, where like my foot goes high, like I talked to him. I was like, I didn't mean to do that. He's like, I know that's not the type of player you are. Like, it's all good. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah, it is nice. It's. I think a lot of people in these leagues take it for granted because they're used to like a lot of the players played like in at D1 schools, and so they're used to like having the good refs. And then as soon as you get one, like, there's a couple of like, I'll say ones that I'd rather have other ones over these ones, but
yeah, I mean
um
that's always gonna happen though.
yeah, for sure. And so then sometimes it like gets a little bit dicey, but like then you got to remind people it's like, all right, we're not getting paid, like just play.
Yeah,
So
you're at the end of the day, you're there for fun. So
yeah, 100%.
but,
Speaking of fun, last time we played basketball, I don't know. I can just.
yeah.
Do you want me to describe it, or you could describe it? I'll describe. Do you even remember? Like, did your body just shut down?
No, I remember clear. That's one I'll always remember that. It's
All
clear as
right, all
day.
right.
But yeah, your description was pretty funny. So you can go for it, and then
So
I'll fill in the
you
gaps.
yeah, you fill in the and so the reason for those listening that I bring this up is because I was very curious as to um how Jacob felt about this injury. So like what happened basically was there was an action kind of at the top of the key, maybe a little bit off center, but top of the 3 point line. Somebody set a screen, and basically Jacob, did you try to fight through the screen, or basically like get around it?
Yeah, I tried. I mean, I didn't even know it was there. Nobody called it out, which I mean,
Okay,
I
so I
can't really
think
be mad at because it was pickup basketball. But yeah,
I didn't. I'm trying to think where I was because I don't know if I was right in the action or like maybe off to the wing or something. But basically, what happened was you ran into the screen, and you're dislocated. What was the actual injury? Basically, what happened was his knee looked gross. So,
yeah,
and I
it
like
did.
there was like a
It
big like thing, and the knee looked gross, and everybody was like, ah, just like
it
what
wasn't where it
the.
was supposed to be. That's for sure. But no, yeah, he had set a screen and basically I don't think I remember who it was. I think it was Big Ryan. I can't remember his last name. The one with the dreads or the twist. I don't know which one. The
I
one
don't
from
know.
VCU. The one from VCU.
Oh yeah, yeah. Ryan Cook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think he was the one who was either guarding me or the one that set the screen. But somebody's kneecap, the front of it went right into the side of mine and basically just pushed it out. So it wasn't in a way I got lucky because you can dislocate your kneecap by like twisting or
Hmm.
turning, and basically it just stretches your MPFL, which is what connects your thigh to your kneecap, and you can stretch it and it can come out, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Like it'll just keep popping,
Yeah, yeah. Because
popping out.
it's not taut anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but with mine, it was blunt, so it just snapped like immediately, and so I was
Oh
able to
shit.
get this. Yeah, I was able to get it surgically repaired, which was nice. But he was so my kneecap was outside of my knee. Like the bone wasn't sticking out, but if I had landed on my knee, I landed on my back. If I had landed on my knee, it probably would have went like all the way behind.
Yeah, I remember
Which
you landing and seeing your knee like at a weird spot, and I was like, yeah, I think I ran I think I ran out of the gym.
well, a lot of people did. There was a lot of moans, a lot of people turning around. But yeah, it was just chilling outside where it's supposed to be for like 15 minutes. I remember laying there. I think my buddy Carlos was sitting there with me, and I was just squeezing his hand as hard as I could, just
Yeah.
looking at my knee, like 5 inches outside
Yeah.
where it's supposed to be. And then I was sweating bullets, absolute bullets. And 15 minutes later, the I think it was Officer Baez, the UMW PD. I think that was his name.
Yeah, it was Gio. I know him. He's
Yeah.
involved with all like with Fire, with Fredericksburg Fire, the arena team.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, he's around all the time.
Yeah. So he walks in and I see his face and I'm just like, yeah, that about sums it up. I don't know. I don't know if he had like a light stomach or whatever, but he was not messing with it. That's for sure.
Nope, he dipped.
But then once he got there, uh, we were just sitting there and it just
I
slowly
think
popped back in.
Will called the did you go to the hospital after that, or like how
Oh
did
yeah, yeah.
did
They
did you go in
they helped.
ambulance or no?
I did. I did
Oh,
go in the
I
ambulance.
think Will called. Actually, you know what I think happened? I remember Gio walking into the gym, so I don't think I had left yet. But then Will was like, I think I went outside with Will when he called. But yeah,
Yeah, I just remember the stretcher coming in. That was the first time I've been to the hospital for me in my life. So um, that was an interesting one. I got in the back of the ambulance, which looking back, I probably should have just got driven by someone. But that because McCall had tore his ACL like a week earlier in
I
the same
remember
gym.
that. I
And
remember that.
I think he got in the back of Jose's car, I think, like the small one, the small
Yeah.
hatchback one
It was
or something like that.
he's taller than the whole car.
I know. And he's just like sitting in the back with his legs straight. And they took him to the hospital. And after that that ambulance, I didn't have to pay it, but my parents did. But
Yeah.
it was like
Well,
$500 to go like 10 yards over to Mary Washington Hospital.
yeah, I think if it had been like with McCall, I think we all knew what it was. But like with you, it looks so gross that everybody
Yeah.
was like, "Oh fuck!" Like we can't, like we don't know what this, like we don't know what's actually. None of us wanted to like. It popped back in before I got there, right?
Yeah, yeah. It popped back in like about 15 minutes later when I was still sitting on the floor. It just kind of slid and went, and that hurt. When I was down the first time, it your body goes into shock. You don't feel a thing. But when that thing slid back in, that's I never want to feel that again. That's for sure.
Yeah. Damn.
And then I
So
got
then, so
surgery.
you went to surgery, and then they fixed it up, and then
Yeah,
you didn't really play again after that, did you? You did kind of.
no, yeah. I when I woke up from surgery, my leg was locked straight in a brace, and it was like that for 3 months. I couldn't unlock it. And I lived on the third floor of Virginia Hall, which does not have an elevator.
Oh, I forgot
So
about that.
yeah, I was crouching up and down the stairs, three flights of stairs to class every morning. Um, yeah, I didn't do much after my surgery. I still obviously went to the gym a lot, and all my friends played all the time. So I went and enjoyed it as much as I could, but it was not. Yeah, I didn't play again. I think yeah, it was the end of January when I got hurt, and then I had surgery, I think, over spring break. And then when I came back, I didn't play again until the next fall, I think. Yeah,
How's it
that
feel
kind of
now?
makes
Did
sense.
you go to like physical therapy and everything, or not really?
Yeah, I went to physical therapy for a long time. The first like 10 times I went, I didn't even do it. All they did was shock my like thigh muscles
Oh,
and
stim.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Because they was just, I mean, the muscle atrophy, you don't even realize it until something like that happens. But your muscles like it's atrophied,
Yeah, yeah.
atrophied. But yeah, it's so quick. I mean, I could put my legs together, and my right leg was significantly smaller than my left leg. So the first 10 times I went, they were just doing those muscles, getting them, and then once I was done that, it just was a slow like climb to different things. I was on the bike for a long time, just bending it, but it was a long way back. But you don't make sure you have a different viewpoint on it. Basically, what the dilemma was between surgery and no surgery. I was on my phone. I was on the phone with my dad during the initial appointment, and he
hmm
said you can go to physical therapy and it'll be fine. But if you continue to play sports, there's a high chance it'll keep dislocating. And I don't even think I answered. My dad just said like surgery. Yeah, yeah, he's getting the surgery.
Yeah,
He was
that's. I
like, I
mean,
can't.
that's what I would have done as well.
Yeah, but and then that I was still wanting to play golf on the golf team, so it was kind of a no brainer for
Yeah.
me. But
How's it feel now? Is it not? I mean, maybe not all the way back to normal, but like, can you function basically for the
yeah,
most part?
I mean, I can do anything really. It gets really stiff if I don't stretch, or
Uh-huh.
not. I guess not stretch. If I don't work it out a lot before I do something physical, it can start to hurt. And there's actually a way. I don't know how I ever do it, but if my leg like if I jump and my leg dangles a certain way, it like pulls it really hard and like okay, yep, that's how I know it's time to stop. But I should probably go get it scooped. I think is what it's called. But he said I should have gone back like so long after surgery. I just never went, but it's probably not a smart decision. But yeah, I probably need to do that. It crackles a lot, so but hey,
Text me after we're done with this. I've got some. I might have some people who can help you if you're
oh, sweet.
interested. So let
Yeah,
me know.
definitely. Yeah.
Um. So okay, let's see. Where were I don't know. I lost my train of thought after that. So
Yeah.
you played, let's see. So you played golf as well. So once you got back from like surgery and you were playing golf and like I don't the reason I g- the reason I'm asking it in this way is because I want to know like where your mindset was at. Because when you had the injury, were you a junior?
Freshman. Yeah, I was a freshman.
Was it your okay?
Yeah, it
I
was my
thought
second semester.
okay. I thought I was gonna say sophomore. Okay, so freshman. So then you were still able to play golf then. So for some reason I had thought like it was later and you were just like, yeah, I'm done with stuff. But it was when you were a freshman. So you still played golf for what, 3 years after that?
Yeah, no, I played. I guess you could say I was on the team. I never really played my sophomore and junior year, but I did play in tournaments my senior year. So yeah, it was
So
it was especially the last year was all the COVID stuff, and then we didn't play at all my junior year. So it
yeah.
was it was different.
So how was that going through school and the COVID year? Because I was gone. So I had heard stuff from people. But a lot of the friends that I had that were still in school were seniors, and half of them were like, "Oh, I'm sad I can't walk," and the other half were like, "Screw this, I'm out." Like they're like, "Good, it's done. The semester early. Leave me alone." So
No,
so
yeah.
like you still had time left. So what was it like for you going through that?
I mean, for lack of a better word, it was ass. I mean, it was. I don't want that to happen to anyone else ever. I mean, everyone always says, "Oh, college will be the best 4 years of your life," and then you do it, and you're like, "Oh wait, like they weren't even lying about that." Like, um, but it was because we were, in my opinion, our class got hit the worst because the class of 20, I was 21. The class of 20 only missed their last semester.
Hmm.
Um, we all got sent home and they missed one semester. They didn't get to walk or whatever. And then we were like, okay, like it's one semester. We'll be back in this fall. Yeah, in the fall. And we'll still have a whole nother year. And then we lost that whole last year. Um, it was just, I mean, you couldn't do anything, especially for I think it was spring 2020. Yeah, spring 2020 and fall 2020. I mean, you couldn't do anything. It was complete lockdown. So it just to have that part of your life like not taken away. Obviously, we still like you had to make the best of it in that
Yeah,
situation.
but I mean, but it also was taken from you. I wish I wish I had asked Dean Rucker about this when I had him on because
Mm,
I love Dean Rucker and I was trying to not ruffle feathers, but I didn't ask him some things that like I wish I would have asked him, and that's one of them. I would like be like, dude, like look what it did to the student body. Like just like my two brothers were in school, like were in the shitter mentally, like, and it's just like for me when I was out, basically I didn't live like it didn't exist, but like soccer still happened because it was outside. And if I hadn't have had soccer, I'd have gone insane, honestly. And you guys, like all the sports were shut down, everything was shut down. They just like, were you guys back in the dorms when in that fall 2020?
so that was my senior year. I lived in a house off campus. Um,
But was
but I
everyone in
think
the
they were.
dorms and they
Yeah,
just couldn't leave?
they were. Yeah, they couldn't leave. You couldn't go visit other people's. They had a. It was 10 people, I think. 10 was the max amount of people you could have at any gathering, and we. I think the whole thing was so new at first. Everybody, I think, was scared. Like they're like, we were not gonna have over 10 people because I don't know if people were scared of COVID because we were what 20 years old. We're invincible, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think anyone was necessarily scared of COVID as far as like as much as getting in trouble because we knew the university was taking it seriously. Um,
Well,
so we
that's the shitty part, really. Like if somebody gets COVID, like you don't want people to get COVID, but like probably that demographic is going to be fine. Like I had one of my coworkers, her kid was a freshman at Wash and he got COVID and they basically put him in like an empty room in one of the dorms and like slid him meals under the door like he was in jail. And I was like,
they were bad
what the
meals too.
fuck? Yeah.
Yeah, it. I mean, everyone was frustrated. I think because no one quite understood what was going on, and it just didn't make sense. And you couldn't hang out with the people you're used to hanging out with. You couldn't play club basketball. You couldn't go to golf practice. And but it also, I mean, I'm the type of person I try to take a positive out of everything.
Sure.
So for me, it it sucked, but it also made me realize like I hated going to class. Like nobody wants to go to class, and then that happens, and you're like, wait, why do I like going to class? Like I wish I could just go to class, and just things that you miss people you didn't think you'd miss, and just that. So it was very eye opening to realize like it gave you a lot of like introspection on your own life and like the things that you truly care about and maybe the things that you could go without. So I took a lot of positives away from it, but it wasn't like that for everyone, and I realized that. So
That I mean, that speaks to kind of the mental character that you have, though, because there's a lot of people that just went like spiraled, and so
Yeah,
like because that's not an easy situation. I use this analogy before is like COVID basically the people that were mentally tough and kind of persevered, it basically highlighted like that those qualities in them, and the people that were like fragile or not like maybe had some stuff going on that they needed to deal with, like it like widened the two um sort of groups, if you want to put it simply. But like, yeah, man. So like what sorts of things, so have you taken this stuff basically now that, I don't know, I think, did Biden say the other day that COVID is over? I think he said that. I don't know. I heard that somewhere. But
yeah. I don't pay enough attention,
but
I
now
hope.
like we'll just say now that's over. Have you taken these like the things that you learned into your life now as we get, well, I think most people are living as normal, but as you've gone back to normal, have you taken those lessons with you?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely. I mean, beforehand, let's say someone asks you to do something, you're not feeling it. You're like, nah, I'm all right. I pass. But then that happens, and you don't even have the choice to say yes or no because you can't do it anyway. And you're like, man, I miss hanging out with people. I miss this person. I miss that person. So I definitely am now more willing to say yes to things. I feel like I do a lot more things. I don't rule anything out. Like someone asked me to do something, it's not something I love doing, but I'm like, hey, let's give it a shot. You never know when you're not going to be able to. So I've definitely taken that with me and just enjoying the little things. Like for me, sitting at a baseball game, that was probably the hardest. That was the hardest part of COVID for me, was not being able to go to sporting events. I grew up going to a bunch, and I missed that the most. I mean, that really hurt when college football stuff like that got canceled. That's when it set in that I was like, wow, this we're in it for the long haul. But now, I mean, I sit at a baseball game, and baseball's not even my favorite sport, and I'm like, it doesn't get any better than this. So that's something else that I took away from it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm the same way. It's like I don't try to not rule a lot of things out. Almost I do probably spread myself a bit too thin recently with different things. Um, but yeah, just like you said, appreciating the little things. It's like it's almost in a way I'm glad it happened early in life for us so we could like learn these lessons now when we still have time and energy and different things, and we didn't go through this when we were like 40 or 50 or whatever. But like I don't know, there's pros and cons to both sides. Um, all right, enough sad shit. You guys are in the playoffs, right?
We are in the playoffs. We have game three tomorrow at our place. We played the first two. So how the league works, and it works like this in affiliated ball in some of the leagues now. There's two halves of the season. So there's 132 games. You play 66 in the first half. You play 66 in the second half. If you There's a North Division, a South Division, 5 teams in each division. If you win the first half for your division, you lock up a playoff spot. And if you win the second half for your division, you lock up a playoff spot. So there's 4 playoff teams.
Or if
First
you
half
win both.
champion. Yeah. So if one team wins both, which happened this year in the other division, the Gastonia Honey Hunters won both. It goes to a wild card, which is the cumulative record from both halves. So the season long record, the best one remaining gets the wild card spot.
Of either
And
division?
of either division, yeah.
Very
So
nice.
this year happened to be High Point Rockers, which is in that division anyway. So, but we won the first half title by a lot of games. We had the best winning percentage in league history for one half. I can't even. I can't remember what the record was, but we had a lot of wins. We started off the season. I think we lost the first game and then won 13 in a row, 12 in a row,
Whew.
something like that. But yeah, so we won the first half. Got to have the champagne party and everything. That was awesome. Um, that's when you get to see the players in their true element and their personalities come out. So that
Hmm.
was really cool. I mean, we popping champagne, they're shotgunning beers, banging them on their heads, is squirting them in each other's face, and it was just a big celebration. There was a lot of carried over. We all went to a bar, and it was just a really good time. I mean, and one other thing about working in baseball is there's just so many memories that you can't get in any other profession. I mean, we were throwing alcohol everywhere. They actually brought out one of the players brought out a bottle of, I think um, it wasn't Don Julio. What's the big tall bottle of tequila that's really expensive? Okay, it's
I don't know.
1840,
Oh,
1842,
1800. Oh,
like
some, I don't know.
1842, something like that.
I don't
But
know.
one of them brings it out, and they all go crazy. And I guess the trainer Lauren, she was uh, like they were all throwing beer, and she's like saw them throwing beer, so she grabs it and starts throwing it on people, and they're like, "No!"
No, not
They
the
start
big, not the
freaking.
expensive one, not the
Yeah,
expensive one.
so that was pretty funny. But
That's
yeah,
awesome. So it's
that
semifinals then.
yeah. So
Best of.
it's semifinals, best of five series. First time this year. They used to do best of three. This year it's best of five because it's a 10-team league instead of an 8-team league.
Mhm.
Um, so we won the first half. Second half, we came in second. The Lancaster Barnstormers won by I think 7 games or something. We slumped really hard towards the end of the season, but they won the second half, so we're playing them. Since we won the first half, we got to pick. It's a 2-2-3, so we got to pick if we wanted the Tuesday, Wednesday home games or
Mhm.
the Friday, Saturday, Sunday home games. And we picked Friday, Saturday, Sunday. One, because we figured we could get more fans in on the weekends.
Yeah.
It's always easier. And two, we knew if we could steal one game up there, we'd have a really good chance with three straight at home to win two more.
So what is it? Did you guys steal one?
Yeah, we did. We took a bus, like a charter bus up there, and
Hmm.
we sold bus tickets to fans. It was an idea that I didn't come up with, but I brought it up to our general manager, and she let me run with it. So we packed a bus with about 40 fans in the front office, and we went up there, and that was on Tuesday. Yeah, that was on Tuesday, and we had 40 fans in there. They had a relatively full stadium, and I think I'd say we were louder than them. So that was fun for me. But we won. We had Daryl Thompson, who I mentioned earlier,
Hmm.
on the mound, and he's won ALPB Pitcher of the Year 2 years in a row. He's gonna win again this year. Actually, right here, this bobblehead we gave away this year on his last start. He has his two trophies. So,
Very nice.
and then we had his bobblehead night, and he threw 9 scoreless innings, only gave up 2 hits. He's
Damn.
also 37 years old, and he just dominates the league. But
Wild.
so yeah, he pitched on Tuesday and did his thing, his normal thing, and we won 2-1. So we took it, had the 1-0 lead, came back on the bus, got home like 2 a.m. Get up the next day, come into the office at 10, and our general manager's like, "Well, now we have to go back, don't we?" And we just kind of looked at each other and we were like, "I
Uh,
I guess." And but I wanted to go. I knew all along I was probably going to go back with her, but some of my coworkers had to be talked into it. But so yeah, we went back up there last night and scored 4 runs in the first inning, had a 4-0 lead, and we put a few more runs up. They scored some, got to the bottom of the ninth, up 7-3, and we put our closer in, who is unreal. He's almost been picked up straight to the MLB a few times this season. Never got the call, but he won reliever of the year last year in the league, and
mhm.
he had a sub 1 ERA, which is
Damn.
is
That's
absolutely
bonkers.
crazy. Yeah, and he gave up 4 runs. They tied it up
Wow.
and hit a 3-run homer. So in their ballpark, the right field fence is 300 feet. which
I don't know a lot
is,
about baseball, but I know that that is short.
yeah, it's like a little league wall. So you're hitting routine pop flies and they're going over the fence. So they hit a 3-run home run to the right side of the field, went over. At our ballpark, it would be like 30 feet short of the fence. But that's how it is. So he gave up that. We go to extra innings. We get a guy on first and second with no outs and get a hit up the middle into the outfield. Our base coach sends him home and he gets thrown out at the plate. And then on that same play, our runner got caught between second and third and they tagged him out. So that ended the inning. And then they hit a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th.
To the right
So,
side.
yeah, to the right side.
Nerds.
Their fence is 300 feet. It went about 301. And I mean, they were going crazy. Like, they were telling everyone to suck it, like grabbing their nuts and everything. We were just like, but
Well, now
that
you
was
got to bring it home, though.
yeah, that was the first time that pitcher gave up more than 2 runs in an inning, in the whole time he's pitched in this league for 3 years. So it's pretty crazy. But
First time for everything.
yeah, so it's series tied 1-1. Today was a travel day. We got back at 3 a.m. this morning.
Damn.
And we came to the stadium at 10 today, and I've been here ever since. But yeah, we got tomorrow expecting between 6,000 and 7,000 fans, which should set an attendance record.
That's
So
sick, dude.
it's gonna be awesome. I'm hoping we can get the win, but we got 3 games to win 2. We've only lost I think 2 home series all season, so we're feeling pretty good about it. But we'll
Is it
see what
sold out yet?
happens. So it's kind of weird. There's still seats available. Like if you went online, you could buy them, but it's essentially sold out because we have to leave tickets open for our player pass list that we're gonna get on
Yeah.
tomorrow and the away team's player pass list. So we have to hold some for that and a few other different things. But we've sold we've sold out of the seating bowl and we've sold 400 lawn tickets. So
Very nice.
we have a berm in right field. It's basically just a lawn, and so we sell tickets for that. But yeah, it's gonna be our biggest crowd of the season and hopefully ever. So I'm really looking forward to that. Especially for me, I do during home games. I run all the stuff on the field, all the
Hmm.
promotions and everything. So like when you see the big bubble balls run at each other,
Yeah.
or like I'm not emceeing or anything. We have somebody who does that, but I'm making it all happen. Interacting with fans. So I'm very excited for tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. That would be sick. I wish I was thinking I was gonna put a link to the tickets in the description, but like by the time this is out, it'll be over already.
When I have a game on Saturday, and we got to sell tickets for that, so we're going to put the link to the tickets on Saturday. You
It'll
can definitely
be
do that.
these release on Mondays. So
Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully we'll win, and then we'll have the same thing. We'll have
maybe
a same thing next week.
I'll bump this one to this coming Monday and I'll push the other ones out. So if those of you listening are interested, where's the team based out of in Southern?
We're
Was it
in
like?
we're in Waldorf, Maryland.
Oh,
So
so that's not too far. Okay, so if
yeah,
anyone is
no,
listening that wants to go, fingers crossed they win. I'll put the link to the website in the description, and yeah, that would be sick, dude.
yeah. If we win this series, I think it's the same thing. So we'll have home games Friday, Saturday, and Sunday next week. Obviously, Saturday and Sunday are if necessary. But yeah, if anyone listening wants tickets, hit me up and I'll leave you some tickets because we have a pretty cool ballpark. I think it's kind of modeled after a barn. Um, this is a very rural area, so it kind of fits. I mean, we got a basketball court in center field, like behind the center for a wall. We've got a bumper boat pond, also back there with some electronic bumper boats, stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun if you come out. But yeah,
Fair enough. I think that's a good place to wrap this up. You gotta tell
yeah,
the people. You gotta tell the people your offer because nobody listens to the whole thing. But um, but yeah, where can what or like what's the website or where can people find the team
yeah.
or
You can
you?
go. you can go to somdbluecrabs.com. That's Southern Maryland, like SOMB bluecrabs.com. You can find everything there, tickets, look up the staff on the website. You'll see this guy on there. And you can email me. I'm always checking it. But yeah, you can get tickets on there. We also have obviously all social medias. Our TikTok's actually pretty big, so definitely check us out on TikTok. We put a lot of effort into that. So that's one thing. And Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, we're at SOMD Blue Crabs or at Blue Crabs on all of them. That's also pretty cool that we got our own tags because a lot of teams have to work around other teams, but there's only one Blue Crab. So we're in there for all the handles. But yeah, SOMD Blue Crabs. Follow
Fair
us on
enough.
everything.
Fair enough. Awesome, bro. I appreciate your time. This was a great conversation.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. I love talking about what I get to do because I love it. So thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Of course. With that being said, guys, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.